Okay. Muy buenas tardes de nuevo. Bienvenidos otra vez a Festival Desertica. Por si no lo han notado, esta transmisión va a ser en inglés. Si no entienden mucho, de todas maneras, quédense. Y si tienen algunas preguntas, yo voy a tratar de traducirlas al inglés por ustedes. Entonces, let's begin. Just so you know, we are trying to put the questions and answers at the end of the transmission 15 minutes before. And today we are with our friends at Marble Brewery in Albuquerque, New Mexico. How are you guys?
It's hot. It's beautiful.
Hey, it's 106 degrees over here too, so it's hot. It's perfect for a cold beer right now. And so we're gonna be talking about the Haze Craze and managing haze stability. And I have Joshua Trujillo, or Josh, and Nate Jackson. So, you know, the floor is yours, guys, or should I say cyberspace is yours? Go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us on. We look forward to talking about our beer. Thanks to everybody supporting us down in El Paso. We took
if you can just speak up a little bit more. I'm sorry. Here we go.
Yeah, these things. You know, the funny thing is, they always You have to put it all the way down. Give me a ring. How's that?
And that's a bit better, but I think you do need to speak a lot higher. I'm sorry about that, guys.
No, that's all right. The funny thing is, they're always telling me all I do is yell around here. So, you know what? How's that?
Oh my God, that is way better. Thank you.
Way better.
Yay.
Well, maybe we'll just pass them around a little bit.
I'll just be here. You can hear me, right?
We can hear both of you. You're just going to have to share the earwax. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's all right. We work together. So,
there you go.
Well, you know, we're broadcasting live here from the Sky Deck at our downtown pub in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We figured we'd bring the spirit of the beer festival and try to set up outside and bear the heat just like we were at a beer festival. My name is Joshua Trujillo. I'm the master brewer here at Marble Brewery. I've been with Marble since just about the beginning, and I'm joined today by Nate Jackson, our facilities manager, who if something needs to get done around here, we give him a call. So we've Nate recently just hit his 9-year anniversary here at Marble 2 weeks ago. So we're glad to have him aboard still and accomplishing some big goals out here at Marble Brewery.
12 years.
So come again?
12?
I've been here for just about 12 years.
Jesus, I need employees like you.
He was the assistant janitor.
Awesome.
So, you know, Marble started back in 2008, in April of 2008. And I came on in November of 2008 and have been here since. I started fixing bar stools and kind of helping with some of the janitorial services, but I have a wide range of backgrounds. So a lot of my mechanical skills played into me growing with the company and helping the company grow to what it is today. And we're just celebrated our 12-year anniversary back in April. Unfortunately, we were not able to celebrate, but we did make some fun beers and still have the spirit alive.
Awesome. So can we get into the theme about hazy beers? Just explain to us how the whole thing works with hazy beers. Talk about your hazy beers from Marble. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's definitely a haze craze. One of the first beers we talk about is Double White here. And, you know, we made this beer as a special originally, and it quickly became our flagship beer, even over India Pale Ale. So notice that it has a beautiful glow to it, but it's not milky or turbid. And that's kind of how we want our beers to glow, but not look chunky, right? So one form of haze for us is the Double White. We use a lot of oats in the recipe, a handful of bags of unmalted white wheat to set in some of the heavier protein beta glucan structure to help the haze along in the cold side of the process. So the Double White is a strong Belgian wit beer. So wit meaning white. So it's essentially a white ale made with coriander, grains of paradise, and some bitter orange peel on the hot side hot side being the brew house, the kettle, whirlpool, and such like that. The thing that's different about this hazy beer compared to, say, our Desert Fog or something, is that we use a processing aid to maintain this haze in the beer. It's called Tannel A from one of our yeast suppliers, and it's a tannic acid derived from renewable plant material produced specifically for the brewing industry. And what it does is it's a tannic acid, so it'll bond to the protein structure and have a tannin protein complex that will maintain this beautiful haze. And believe it or not, this is one of the things we've worked harder on than clarifying beer, is maintaining a consistent haze.
Often harder than making a clear beer. Yes.
Absolutely. So the double white's pretty delicious, especially now that it's hot. The Tannel A took us a lot of years of research and development to really nail down the consistency of the haze and the appearance that we have. Our process is that we use it on the fermentation side at fermentation temperatures to bond into the initial portion of the structure, protein tannin complex, and then we hit it again on the cold side after we centrifuge the beer on the way to the bright tank to really fortify that haze, and then goes in the package and preferably enjoyed fresh. The fresher, the better the haze is going to be. What do you guys think? Double white. You guys drink double white down there?
We do. I don't have it right here, but I am enjoying the Desert Fog. So
that's quite all right. So this is definitely our flagship beer now. It consists of 50% of our overall sales for the entire company is double white. But this may be a prelude to what you would consider haze craze. People don't drink this beer because it's hazy per se. They drink it because it's spicy and fruity and a little bit bigger in body compared to some of the other styles of this beer. But we also make the Desert Fog, which the haze comes from hops, a huge load of hops coming in. And our Desert Fog is a Southwestern style hazy IPA compared to say an East Coast version or something like that. And we developed this beer with a demographic in mind. You drink some of those, you got to adjust the drag on top. We're playing around.
You guys are multitasking now.
Having a little bit of fun. Well, we're trying to have fun. He was going to drop the can in on a fishing pole.
Okay.
But I guess we'll just do it this way instead.
All right, there you go. That's a nice sound.
So
okay. And you know what? I'm going to ask you guys a question. We already have a question from somebody. It says, have you guys encountered hop creep in any of your beers? How did you dealt with it, if so?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's definitely one of the things that we wanted to cover with the topic of Desert Fog. Like I was saying, our Desert Fog is Southwestern style hazy IPA compared to like the East Coast and the really trend driving the early beers in the trend, where they're a little bit sweeter, a little bit more alcoholic, and the goal is to not really have much bitterness in the beer, but a sweeter, more pillowy finish through addition of oats. And some people I hear are using oat flour and just a whole range of products to maintain this really turbid looking haze. We wanted ours to have a similar glow to the double white, but a little bit more turbid. And we do experience the hop creep in it. The thing that sets our Desert Fog apart from most of the beers in this category is we do a little bit of a creep. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is we throw a little bit of hops in the whirlpool to kind of give a little bit of bitterness that accentuates, I think, the dry climate that we have. We don't want to drink nothing too sweet, right? We want something that retains the name IPA and is a little bit snappy. That is acquired through a whole bunch of hops, and we do experience hop creep. So Nate's got a scale there of some weights of pounds per barrel that you might see in some beers. Pilsner, maybe a half pound per barrel. standard pale ale, you're looking at probably £1 per barrel to 2. An IPA nowadays is, you know, anywhere from 2 to maybe 5. Double IPA in the 3.5 to 5 range. But then you look at the hazy scale, and it's just, you know, there's so much hops in there, it's not even worth asking. We just throw more at it to get the aroma and the flavor. That is what causes hop creep. So the suppliers are treating our hops so good now that there's some enzymes making its way in through the field and further breaking down some of the long chain sugars that the enzymes in the mash didn't convert, and also is bringing a little bit of sugar into the equation. So we're seeing essentially a secondary fermentation going on due to dry hop and high rates of dry hop. Certain varieties have a tendency to do it a little bit more, but we've kind of been working hard to figure out what's going on. And some of the examples that we've seen of hop creep are increased degrees Plato or gravity in the beer post dry hop due to weights. In our pilot facility, we've seen as much as 1.2 degrees Plato increase in gravity due to a large dry hop, and that poses a lot of issues downstream. Your yeast is going to produce a precursor to diacetyl, again known as acetolactate, alpha acetolactate. Then that could pose diacetyl in the finished product, as well as long turnaround times in your tank. So, you know, our Pilsner and our Cerveza take 30 days, right, Nate? But now where our Desert Fog does the same thing, 30-day IPAs. So we're kind of dealing with some methods and trying to mitigate that. But some of the even more dangerous aspects of the hop creep, that if you don't manage it properly on the front end, then that aspect goes into the can, and you have poor beer quality and potentially exploding cans on the shelf.
Yeah, that is exactly. It's a coincidence that you say, somebody just asked, how do you deal with diacetyl and contamination, all that stuff that happens?
You know, diacetyl is a byproduct of the yeast during any portion of its fermentation, be it primary or secondary fermentation. And it's a compound that the yeast will clean up after itself when it's done fermenting the sugars in the beer. As it's building its glycogen reserves, diacetyl, alpha acetolactate, is something that it will uptake again. So during the fermentation process, you want to give your yeast a portion of time to clean up all of its byproducts that are not desired in the finished beer. So we're seeing a primary fermentation, an uptake of diacetyl, then we dry hop, and we're seeing a secondary production of diacetyl due to the dry hop. And then we have to watch that and very closely manage it, so that way the yeast uptakes that second round of diacetyl and goes through that secondary fermentation, so we don't have any off flavors in the can or potentially blowing up cans on account of a fermentation increase, CO2, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's really been one of the bigger challenges, I think, for breweries across the world right now. As the hop rates go up, we see changes in the downstream activities, or just overall nature of the yeast and the hops reacting together, and it's taking longer to make great beer. But hey, in the end, it tastes pretty delicious. So I think all the hops and all the research are definitely proving that it's a style that's going to be around for a while, not just as a singular hazy IPA or hazy double IPA, but man, there's so many variations of that style, right? People are doing fruited IPAs. Nate, have you ever heard of a milkshake IPA? Yeah, see? And milkshake IPAs, they're actually putting lactose, which is a milk sugar, and adding a portion of fruit. And some people are going as far as adding graham crackers and vanilla to the mash to just give it this really wild range, along with some fruit. And you have fruited IPAs. I know that we do have we did a collaboration with a place down in El Paso before the pandemic hit called Union Draft House. And we have what's called a Commonwealth IPA. It's like a hazy extra IPA with grapefruit, tangerine, and a little bit of blackcurrant to kind of give that pink grapefruit look to it. And it's really delicious. On the note of milkshake IPAs, we haven't made one of those yet, but I do have one in the works with our longest running bartender, Patrick Kavanaugh, suggested that we extend our series of foggy beers We make the Desert Fog, the Mountain Fog, which is the double version of our Desert Fog. And now we're going to make what's called Dessert Fog, which is going to be our milkshake IPA with mango and vanilla and lactose. And we probably won't go as far as putting the graham cracker, but I'm skilled enough with my malts to get that point across via ingredients.
That's awesome, guys. So me being in the industry, I have noticed a big change. This whole hazy beer happened a couple of years ago. So what do you think exactly is a craze? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that still do not accept the haze. They want to see clarity in their beer, and tell me about that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, my perspective is a trend is just that, right? People find something new and it's a different flavor profile or a new process to do something that they already enjoy and they love. And I'm a big fan of really bright, crystal clear beers. I think it's visually pleasing, and you could still get a lot of the same flavors across in a bright beer. But the haze has allowed a whole new range of experimentation to do, beers with minimal hops, no IBU hops, no IBU beers I've heard, right? And people aren't putting any hops in the kettle at all, and they're all going in on the cold side and trying to really just minimize the bitterness. And I think that's really what kicked off this whole thing, is just a new process and trying to coax out some different flavors from our hops that we've already used and enjoyed. I mean, you look at something like Centennial's been around since the 80s, and it still throws some of the best fruity flavor that we know of. So people are just looking for new ways, I think, to use tried and true ingredients and get a softer mouthfeel. But like I said before, ours for me, IPA is the style, so it should have a little bit of bitterness to it. And I think if you could find something that fits your demographic and your patrons and the people that are drinking around you, then that's the key with the style just in general. And Dippa is good. We make a wonderful double IPA that's crystal clear and really has a lot of the same juicy character with that touch of old school dank quality to it. We don't have any double IPA today, but the trend has come to a point where it's its own category now. So that's pretty awesome to see something gain the traction and the popularity to build its own style guidelines, and then people still following that movement and experimenting on top of it.
Yeah, I wish we had that right now. I really enjoy the IPAs and the hops, but actually somebody's asking about, what do you think about hop extract?
Hop extracts are fine. We use a portion on some of our beers of hop extract in the past, and still occasionally if we're gonna make a really big IPA, say a triple IPA, double IPA, or something that's gonna have a low yield perhaps, then the hop extract really sets in a nice bitterness without losing too much of your liquid volume in the end. The more hops you put in the liquid, the less liquid you're going to get out. So hop extract gets to the point of bitterness without lowering your yield, and then you can still accentuate the hop extract on the back end with the Whirlpool edition or flavor additions and still achieve a lot of the same goals with more liquid for people to enjoy.
Yay. And with everything that is going around right now with the pandemic, has the hop industry suffered a lot? And is that limiting your production at the moment?
I think the hop industry kind of landed at an odd time. So they're not harvesting right now. So they have minimal staff out there still growing hops. And I think it's a good industry to overcome a pandemic like this, because they do have minimal staff on right now, just trading the hops, and people are separated from each other. And as harvest season comes in closer to September in the United States, which is where a lot of the world's hops are coming from right now, hopefully we'll be out of this to some degree, and the farmers will still be able to sustain their ranches, and we'll still be able to sustain some of these beers. I've noticed definitely a surge in people's thirst for hoppy beers right now. So I don't think the hop industry is gonna suffer as much as other industries are, and we're gonna see some really beautiful hops come harvest season, and some really beautiful IPAs, hazy IPAs, pale ales, American Pilsners, just a whole wide range of awesome beers from that industry.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Hopefully nothing will go bad and we can keep enjoying our IPAs. Now
Well,
I want to
I'll tell you one thing for sure. We haven't been using less hops, so.
And somebody was asking, how do you retain the flavor of the hops in the beer? Because they really like your beers. They retain the hop flavor.
You know, hop flavor retention really goes front to back on your process. If you just put all your hops in at one point, then you're only going to get a certain amount of character from that point of introduction of the hops. So, you know, there's early hop additions on the kettle, and a lot of those are really to set the flavor in. So the more hops we use on the kettle side, we're going to get more bitterness, but you're going to set in a nice flavor. So learning the balance of bitterness to flavor profile, and really setting a lot of the flavor platform on the kettle side or whirlpool side lets you experiment a little bit more on the dry hop, and then the dry hop is really about flavor and aroma. So when we dry hop our beers, we do it over 2 or 3 days, different varieties, to really get the best out of those varieties during that time period. And then we cap it off and try to capture some of that aroma. We also recirculate our beer with a low shear pump to really incorporate as much hops into the liquid and get the best utilization. And really, it's just I think the entire crew that produces our beer loves to drink beer, and our beer in particular. So that goes a long way to the final product as well.
Well, I'm going to change.
Thank you for loving our beer.
Of course, anytime. I'm a beer lover anyways. Let's talk about GABF. I know that's not going to happen this year. I know they might be doing the virtual thing as well. And tell me how you're going to participate. And let's talk about also about the awards that you have won because of your awesome beer. Even locally, they were telling me that you got a silver medal, I believe, last year for the Festival Desertica. So let's talk about that. Let's show off your awards.
Yeah, we have many accolades, not as much as some, but more than others. We're very, very proud of our accomplishments. I think our biggest accomplishment as far as recognition in our industry was we won 2014 Small Brewery of the Year at Great American Beer Festival. And that still feels good when we talk about it. Nate said we all cried that day, and some of us still cry to this day.
I kind of want to hear more about Nate. He's just like drinking beer and being all happy, but I want him to talk some more. Nate, come on, don't be shy.
We could switch it up. I mean, we had a really beautiful thought out routine, and we kind of did a dry run to make sure that we had the best content for your viewers on this thing. So it's a kind of it's a bummer that we can't get the audio that we want. So. Just know
he's opening the beers. He's doing a good job.
Yeah. So he's the thermometer, if you would. He's making sure that the beer in the cooler is maintaining the proper drinking temperature. And though it's not expressed through words, I'm sure you could see the happiness in his face.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about a day in the brewery. Tell me about your
day.
Well, yeah, so day in your brewery.
Not to put the brakes on too quick, but I do want to also say our most awarded beer is the Marble Pilsner, which I see you have in front of you there, and that is an employee favorite, and it's our most accoladed beer to this day. And you did ask about GABF and the participation. We missed the deadline for the participation this year just because of many of the irons that we had in the fire at the time. So we would not be participating in GABF this year, but we will still be doing what we can to support our Brewers Association, as I'm sure that they rely heavily on these competitions and festivals as well. So though we're not participating, we are supporting the industry as much as we can. And a day in the brewery, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna give Nate the AirPods because Nate could give you a good rundown on the day in the brewery.
He's like, no. Hi.
Okay, can you hear me
There
now?
we go. Yes, I can. Sir.
There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh wow.
Yeah, pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So hi. Yeah, so I'm the facilities manager back in the back. A day in the brewery is basically I'll be walking in usually and see people out by the garage door and they point at me before I even get my backpack down, and then you have to fix something. So I love fixing things. I love helping people with problems in the brewery, and you know, I'm not really beer centric, or when I started out I was not, but now I love beer so much.
But a day in the brewery.
A day in the brewery is just I love beer.
I do so many things in the brewery. Something will break and I'll have to fix that. And then a day in the brewery is basically going in, looking at the schedule in the morning, saying, okay, you're doing this, somebody else is doing that. They can't hear you, Josh. Remember?
What's that?
Here.
No, different name. I was talking
Oh.
about
So yeah, a day in the brewery is different I'm sorry, I haven't been talking for a while. So day in the brewery is very different every single day for me as it is to other people. We recently just got our canning line upgraded. It's a CFT canning line. It was 12 by 2, which is 12 fill heads and 2 seamer heads. And we had it upgraded to 24 by 4, which is 24 fill heads and 4 seamer heads. So that means we can run at a max output of 250 cans a minute. So those cans that you're holding in front of you right now were all on our upgraded line and ran at probably about 230, 240. We don't like to max it out all the time, but yeah.
So is it strictly cans with you guys now?
We do specialty bottle releases, but that's Josh. Josh does some up in the Northeast Heights Brewery.
we're about ready to commission a new bright tank and start doing the.
We've been working on doing a mobile bright tank to bring down here to do 10 barrels at a time. But with our new line, we're able to do 2,000 cases basically a day. That's 6 can stacks. It's absolutely insane, and it's less work for us too, which is kind of funny.
Wow, that's a lot of beer right there.
It's 150 barrels.
Yeah, and you know what? We know that we get all the beer from you guys. So somebody's asking if you're gonna have a new release, something fun coming out soon.
So we're planning a lot of new releases. We actually have a release that we're gonna do in El Paso. It's a Starlight Wheat Ale that's going to be coming.
Exclusive to El Paso.
Yeah, exclusive to El Paso. That's going to be coming in August. And that's to, there's I don't know, the Stars Foundation. Stars.
100% of the proceeds are going to go benefit the Stars Foundation.
100% of the proceeds are going to go to benefit the Stars Foundation in El Paso. So we're really excited about that release. We got some specialty cans designed for us just for that release, and we're just brewing it just for El Paso. So it's not going to be sold at any of our tap rooms here. So it's just going to El Paso.
Are you guys coming to El Paso when that happens? Any of you guys gonna visit us soon?
Can we? We're coming.
As long as you wear your face masks, I guess.
You know what? I'll take PTO and drive down there for that. So
that's awesome.
It's worth it. It's a good fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So I'm just gonna tell people to keep sending their questions, please. If it's in Spanish, like I said, I can translate for you guys.
Okay. Well, let me. I'm gonna pass the microphone.
Yes, go for it.
Back over to Josh real quick, and then.
There we go. There we go. Can you hear me?
You guys got me?
Yes,
I got you loud
sir.
and clear.
All right.
Man, so things are working a little bit better now, huh?
Yes, they are. Let's keep talking about hazy beers because this is a subject. Just wondering, can any type of beer be cataloged as a haze? We know that we have the wheats and we have the IPAs. Anything else?
Oh, I guess it's a brewer interpretation and equipment. We do have a handful of processing aids to really dial in a haze or clarity. So
Okay, that froze a little bit. I need more questions. He's on there. Okay, can you guys hear me? You cut off for a minute. Whoa, what is going on with the iPad? Hello? Okay. See? Hello? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. Now you're,
Oh, man,
wow, okay.
You know, we got another device failure due to temperature out here, but we're sticking through it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we were talking about the styles
other
of
styles
haze
of beers that
others.
potentially be hazy.
Right.
And, you know, I think, you kind of nailed down the usual suspects as far as Hefeweizen, Belgian wit beers, some Brett beers, and, you know, there's a lot of different types of haze. You have a colloidal haze, which is like a chill haze. If you get your beer too cold, then you're going to have a hazy beer, and then it'll eventually warm up as you start drinking it, right? So that's one type of hazy beer, but there's ways to remove that haze, and you've got to establish it and pull it out with some processing aids. Some of the beers, like you said, that you want to haze, we use the Tannel, like what we mentioned before, but I think Gozas and Berliner Weisses, anything that kind of have like a lactobacillus or kettle sour, I think certain ranges of fruited beers can be hazy. But I mean, just imagine like a hazy black IPA. What would that look like? Would you want to drink something?
No, I don't know about that.
So I think that that haze is specific to brewer interpretation and certain style guidelines. We go through it to keep haze in some of our beers, but also to, you know, make really nice crystal clear beer like the Cerveza here via a centrifuge, and that's it. So there's absolutely no processing aids brewed in, that work their way into the brewing process of our bright beers, but some of our height stuff, we do use a processing aid called Biofine Clear to remove hazes. What's your favorite hazy beer?
Oh, I definitely like IPAs and citrusy IPAs, double IPAs. I'm okay with that. Wheat beers.
You know, I think with the right amount of haze, anything, as long as it tastes good and smells good and gets the point across. But if you're going to be serving it draft you know, many establishments want that very beautiful looking beer, so that way the glass shines from across the room.
Right. Okay, we have a question from somebody. It says,
absolutely,
why the Mexican style lager? What's the Mexican in there, or your interpretation of the style? Thanks and cheers. So
Mexican style lagers, you know.
I guess they want to know why you call them Mexican and what inspires you to call them Mexican if they're not made in Mexico, I assume.
Yeah, you know, there is some caveats around style and tagging a beer style with a ethnicity, or if you would, right? But
right.
we're, you know, we call our Belgian beer Belgian wit beer, and people have no problem calling an English pale ale an English pale ale. So it's really just a style, and I think there's a lot of people around the country and around the world calling their beers Mexican style lagers, but we're probably one of the breweries that is closest and producing the style in the quantity, and we're all Viva New Mexico. You know, mi español es no muy suave, pero yo aprendiendo mi mejor.
It's not bad, actually. Really good job, dude. And I just want to tell right now, I'm going to pause and tell people that there will be a surprise giveaway during the webinar with Marble. I don't even know what it is. I'm going to be surprised as well.
Oh, they're going to.
Yeah. And moving on, somebody's asking which hop is your favorite to work with and why?
I think that really depends on the style of beer that I'm making.
Okay.
For me, a lager, if I'm going to make a lager like the Pilsner or the Cerveza, we're gonna go middle fruit, which is a beautiful German noble hop grown in Germany. We buy a lot of it, and it's floral and it's clean and it's got a little bit of fruit. If I'm gonna go American, my personal favorite is Chinook. Chinook is like
nice.
pineapple
Okay.
and marigolds to me. And we use a lot of Chinook in our desert fog. And we use a lot of Chinook in our mountain fog. Now, if we're going to go English, then you really can't go wrong with like Sterling or something. So that's like, I guess it's open to interpretation.
I guess so. I mean, there's so many good hops out there. One of my favorites is Mosaic and Amarillo hops. So
Is what?
Mosaic and Amarillo.
Oh, yeah. I like Amarillo a lot myself.
Yeah,
Mosaic's like three on my list.
Really? Okay. That's not bad. So, okay.
Of American varieties.
So I think that Festival Desertica just asked a question. Whoever answers this first. So let me tell you the pop quiz. Name some of the hazy beer marvel presented during their webinar. So it's an easy one. Whoever answers first wins. What are they going to win? Do we know what they're going to win? I don't know. It's a surprise. All right. So let's keep talking. Anything else hazy that you want to share with us? It's all about the haze.
It's all about the haze. Package stability, hazy beers and package stability.
Let's talk about that. Yes, let's talk about package stability.
There's with a trend that we've been seeing. People are packaging more hazy beers, and a hazy beer perhaps is best served in a glass where you could see the haze, but people are maybe pouring them out, maybe they're not. But that haze has a tendency to fall out of suspension and hit the bottom, and sometimes you're going to pour a hazy beer that you wanted to be hazy and it's clear. So there's always the swirl method that you could maintain a hazy beer, but there's also ways, like I said before, cannellate to maintain that haze, so that way you don't have to swirl the can and keep that haze in there. Then there's also something that people have been experiencing nowadays is a new can liner that's BPA-NI that is experiencing some degradation due to acidity, due to some of these fruited IPAs that the acidity levels are so high. And then they're experiencing gushing cans, exploding cans, and it's a whole other world of mitigation that you have to manage.
True. Yeah, that's really important. Okay, so we got a winner right now. Hell Brews answer double wide. He is a winner, and we're gonna let him know what he won in a minute. One of my questions for you as Marvel, what are you guys doing to keep everything eco-friendly, saving the planet, terms of all that? That's really important right now.
We're in the desert, so we get minimal water and plenty of sun. So we definitely try to watch our water usage as much as we can, and we have flow meters everywhere to watch our volume of water used compared to barrels of beer. But we also have a very huge solar farm up on our roof to feed a lot of the power. We definitely support a lot of our recycling companies around town, and we do whatever is available to us. We're not as eccentric as perhaps Portland or other areas in the sources that we have to recycle and manage a lot of these sustainability efforts. So we kind of are in a good range of leaders in our demographic in our region, just for trying to keep up on those sustainability efforts.
And I can speak to the solar part on that, the facilities. Our solar panels on our roof last month generated just in a month enough to power the average 10 US homes for a year. So it was absolutely incredible when I looked at the meter and I went online. I was like, I gotta double check that, those numbers, but their numbers don't lie. So it was really awesome to see that we're really contributing to making the planet a better place and making people better.
But as our brewery grows and regulations around us change based on the industry growth, we're always looking at efforts towards building in wastewater management and chemical refuge and just overall taproom refuge. During this pandemic, I think is one of the most challenging times for any taproom or any business with a single serving type format to really rinse well and keep safe and recycle as much as we can, so that way during this rough time we don't leave a bigger footprint than we came in with.
Yeah, that's really awesome of you guys. Not a lot of people are in the bandwagon about recycling and all that, but it's really cool that you guys are taking care of that. One question I do have also about beers. You have the Cholo Stout. Are you coming out with something else related in stouts or aged beers soon?
Good question for the Cholo.
Who is a Cholo?
He is.
I'm
Oh, you're the
I'm
Cholo.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
the
God.
Cholo. The Cholo Stout, that was a really, really, really good year for us. And that was, we had just opened our pilot facility in the Heights, and there was the American Stout is a very unique style. It's not quite a black IPA. It's not quite a stout, but it couples two ranges together. And there's a brewery out of Baker, Oregon called Barley Browns that inspired me for many years visiting GABF. And every time I would go, that particular style stood out to me on the floor. And when we opened the pilot facility, I got the chance to brew that style of the American Stout, which is a hop forward beer, 4 pounds per barrel for a stout. It's kind of unheard of. And there's not a lot of people doing the Cholo Stout type style of beer. So when they said you could make, you have creative control, Josh, start making some styles that you think are going to do well. The Cholo Stout was one of the first beers I made just due to as much inspiration, uniqueness of it. It's a little hoppy, it's a little roasty, it's a little smoky. And, you know, some people in New Mexico take it as a derogatory term because it's related to the mestizos and stuff like that. But I grew up in, you know, very much La Raza, and that's just how it is. So for me, it's a way of life. Being a Cholo is not a derogatory term. It's a way of life that you have to embrace. And I'm glad that I got the chance to make the beer. And the reason we called it Cholo Stout was some very good friends of mine helped me mash the beer in, and we were kicking around beer names, and they said, "You're like the biggest Cholo that I know. You should call it Cholo Stout." And we got a little pushback, but it came out Cholo Stout, and the beer is very unique still to this day. So 2017, we won a gold medal for it. Second time we brewed it, that was a pretty good feeling.
Any nitro beers coming out? Interested in doing nitro?
We always keep a nitro running. We do Cholo Stout on nitro occasionally, and we call it Cholo Smooth.
Okay.
Right now we have nitro pub ale on top. We have St. Patty's Day beer typically, but we always try to keep one nitro beer on, and it's usually anywhere from light to dark to hoppy to creamy to roasty. Valentine's Day is usually a good season for us to do nitro beers as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I know people love a good stout any day of the year. You know, one interesting thing, I've been talking to a lot of women in the industry, and now I have to throw the question at you. Are you guys bringing in more women to brew? Because I know you have amazing women working for you guys, but anybody that we should know about coming into Marvel as a girl brewer?
I actually, it was about a year ago, I hired our now packaging manager. Her name is Lindsay, and she's amazing. And I always tell this joke to people. In her interview, I was interviewing her, and she was talking. She used to work at a food manufacturing facility, and she said, "Oh, we were doing ATP testing," and I immediately said, "Oh, you had me at ATP." Like, that was it. And I was like, "No, hire her." So you had me at ATP was my
That's awesome. Is Tammy still working with you guys?
Tammy is still working with us. Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, we have a wonderful staff of awesome, inspired, driven women working for us. And Lindsay Gonzalez, yeah, Lindsay is Lindsay gets beer into packaging, and she's our newest female leader here. Also, our president now, Barbie Gonzalez, has moved up to the ranks from taproom manager to president. We have lots of wonderful women working for us, and we definitely embrace the power of women. It's important to everyday community.
I almost did, so
there you go. See?
They're back, so.
All right. Somebody's asking question, what is in the future for Marvel?
What's in the future for Marvel?
Yeah.
You know, we have a good brand traction, and we have a good portfolio of beer. What's in our nearest future right now is we're going to start doing some can releases from the Heights location that we call the Mav Lab. And that's our pilot facility where we've developed fantastic beers like Cerveza Oscura and Desert Fog. And we're going to make a Bright Tank Mobile. I think we might have mentioned this earlier in the broadcast, but we're taking a small 10-barrel Bright Tank and building a skid on it. And we're going to be sending it down here to our production facility to do 100 can releases. Or 100 case releases, not 100 cans. Man, that'd be tough.
That'd be a waste.
Yeah.
So look, you know, it's just to test the waters of what's popular, and with the pandemic going on, you got to have some new options. So we're really excited to be rocking out some one-offs like Mountain Fog. We have Marble Fest. We're going to do a pastry stout, probably a milkshake IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep up on that.
It's exciting to get creative again.
Yeah. Well, not again. We're always creative.
Well,
but we also have a whole bunch of new equipment that we're landing here in the brewery to boost the output of our package options and really stretch our reach from just our demographic and regionally down further into El Paso, get some more exposure there. But eventually we would like to move down into Mexico and have some of our offerings down in the border regions as well, and get some fresh beer out there.
Yeah, that was my next question. If you're thinking about expanding your distribution, I know you're New Mexico, you're in Texas, you're in other states, but now I have people asking if you're going to come to Mexico. Somebody from Playa del Carmen, they think this should be cool for you guys to visit, so you can join their beer school. So
yeah, I like that idea.
It's amazing because we're trying so hard to fulfill New Mexico that sometimes we're stretched to our limits, and we want to really fulfill our home state before we cross over and fulfill other states. But we are just on the cusp of going out and branching out and reaching those needs for everybody. So we're happy everybody loves our beer.
You know, another target on our map is moving back into the Front Range of Colorado as well. We used to be out in Denver and a lot of the bigger Colorado cities, but due to distribution needs and, as Nate said, for production constraints, we had to pull out, and we're looking at that territory again, and maybe, you know, touching up our New Mexico market a little bit more and giving our long-term patrons a little bit more to look forward to in terms of, like I said, specialty can releases. But we've got some wonderful beers that I think would do great down in Mexico.
Yeah, actually, I was going to tell you are internationally known because a winner for the giveaway is from Veracruz, Mexico. So there you go. People. Yeah, people do admire your beer. It's a really good beer. And we love, that's something really important, that you are independent craft, because you have the Brewery Association, the Brewers Association, independent craft. So how do you keep that independence?
I think independence has a lot of meanings to a lot of people, and there's some people that put a label on their cans or their packaging just to incorporate themselves into an organization or otherwise, but still lose the face that holds the identity of independent. And for us, independent is very much New Mexico, and we hire as many local people as we can, and we give back to as many local charities and just community driven efforts as we can, and maintain the non-corporate. I think at some level, even the larger independent companies have to adopt some corporate practices, but don't have to necessarily support the corporate influence. And I think that's something that we do very well, is maintain a fine line of corporate structure and inspiration and accountability without taking away from our community and our employees. And we offer a lot of great benefits here. We run 401ks. We we do whatever we can for our employees first. And that to me is what makes a business the most independent, is looking out for their people first.
And one of the things I want to add, one real quick story. When I first started working here, we were all doing a tasting sensory panel downstairs, and it was, oh, so what should we make? Like, what's the market? And our owner, Ted Rice, just stopped everyone and said, don't worry about that. Let's make what we want to drink. People will follow. Let's make what we want to drink. So that's what we've basically done, and I think we make good beer.
That is awesome, guys. You definitely outdrank me because I'm still drinking one beer, and I don't know how many, I lost count on how many of you've opened already. But thank you so much. I'm gonna close up, and no, that's really good that you're drinking for me, and that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna have some later on because I still have more interviews to do. But lastly, you guys share your information on where people can contact you, your social media, your webpage.
I'm gonna be out front here and say that I don't support any social media page outside of work, just because of the influences that it has at times. But we could be reached at info@marblebrewery.com, www.marblebrewery.com, Instagram.
I've got business cards. Oh, it's backwards, but
you got business cards
on Instagram. So if you want to follow me, just
And hey, if you're around, just simply stop in and support our tap room is the best way to get a hold of us.
Yeah, you're downtown Albuquerque. Can you give us the address so people can find you?
We have 3 locations here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well, I guess we have 2 locations in Albuquerque, 1 in Rio Rancho. We have our mothership production facility at 111 Marble Avenue, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87102. Our pilot facility and Heights Tap Room is at 9904 Montgomery Boulevard, Northeast, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87111. And the Westside Tap Room is at 5740 Night Whisper Avenue, Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Other than that, we're at 7-Elevens, we're at Whole Foods, we're at Trader Joe's, we're at Total Wines, we're at
just go to a beer place.
We're at wonderful establishments that people run, and they're not in business, so they're taking time out of their day to put on wonderful broadcasts like this, so that way their fans and the whole industry can get along. So thank you guys so much for supporting Marble Brewery, and without an audience, I don't think we would even have a brewery. So my hat goes off to you guys every day that I come to work for supporting my passion and what I do.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that has been watching. Thank you for your questions. Thank you guys, seriously. Josh and Nate, thank you so much. We'll be in contact and make sure that people keep supporting local and independent craft breweries, guys. Thank you so much. A continuación, muchas gracias por acompañarnos. En el otro canal tenemos a Carlos Santiago con la plática Cervezas Alemanas con Maya. Y a las 7 quiero recordarles que por este canal tenemos a Jessica Aguirre y Luis Muñoz con la plática Vinos y Humo. Y muy bien. Entonces,
gracias a Dios.
Gracias a Dios. Muchas gracias. Y nos vemos al ratito. Thank you, guys. That was awesome.